Mom, hi.
Hi. Let's choose again.
Let's choose again. Let's do it. Welcome back. Week 5?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Crazy. We've already come so far.
I know. Today, we're talking about parents and sports.
Amazing.
Although I've gone from sports mom to, what's my new name?
Dobby.
And why?
My boyfriend and I have a running joke of Paisley is our new Dobby, the house elf. If anyone has watched Harry Potter, they know exactly who Dobby is. And
I'm nicer to myself, though. It's only taken me 50 years.
We're nicer to you, though.
This is true.
I thought you were going to say that.
At least you don't kick me.
I think there's a lot of things that we don't do.
Well, I haven't seen all the shows.
I know.
I don't know the whole thing.
Maybe you'd be more offended by it if you have seen Harry Potter. But we have Dobby the house elf while my boyfriend and I are at practice. She goes to the grocery store. She does Amazon returns. She cleans. She cooks. She is maintenance handyman. It's been amazing. I love when Dobby's here. Dobby's gonna move in.
I think I'm a much better Dobby than maybe soccer mom. Because let's be truthful here. I think guilty is charged. Everything we're talking about today, I'm going to say I'm probably guilty of 95% of it, minus maybe like screaming at you on the sidelines.
Have you never done that?
No. Oh, I hope not.
I can't hear anyways, so.
You can't hear? Oh, no. I mean at your face.
What?
I mean, I haven't screamed at you after a game in your face.
Oh.
I leave it for the hotel room. Just kidding. No, I mean, I think that honestly, sports and parents is a whole other system that needs to be kind of broken down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing this week.
Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to say this week, just of things that I love, is I've been listening to a hypnosis video on just revisioning, up-leveling. But to do that, you have to exit out of your conscious mind and get to your subconscious mind, because that is where everything that sits of reprogramming to manifest what you want next, to up-level next, to upgrade. And so you have to get to those theta brain waves out of this conscious realm to implant. And so she's so great. Her channel is You Universe, like YOU, and she's beyond. So check her out. She's so awesome. So going into sports and children, do you have a beginning thought on anything coming from your experience? Not just with Dad and I, but just anything that comes up for you at first?
I think that the beginning premise and thought of putting your child in sports, it most of the time comes from a positive and encouraging place. I think that most parents want the benefits of team sports and sports in general. You know, it keeps your kids active, it encourages goals and social, talking to people, socializing, making friends, all of those types of things. But I think that once you get into it, that's when the demons start to come out in the kids and in the parents.
And sports have an original system rooted by itself. So it's like we as the family are going into a system and trying to integrate ourselves into an already system that's in place.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of free will, you're kind of signing over your life to that.
It just
system.
depends on also the parent that's, you didn't play very high level sports. So me coming into a sport, I don't know, I had to beg you to put me in a sport. I really wanted to play soccer, and I had the girls at my school who were playing on the fire ponies, And I really wanted to join. I thought that was so fun. Where maybe in a different family that comes from high-level athletes and high-level everything, then once they have kids, their first intention is, we're putting our child into sports because we want them to be like us. So there's two different places that a parent can come from of putting their child in a sport.
Once you got on that field, game on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I turned into a different human.
You can you can have the parents that are coming from,
yeah.
And you can have the parents that are coming from, oh my gosh, it's just putting your child in a sport at a young age is just really nice for them. But there's something that turns, and you're the parent, so I haven't experienced this yet, but rightfully so. When you see your child succeeding, not succeeding, it creates something in you that when you're putting your kid into a sport at 3 or 4 or 5, you've never experienced that emotion before. You've never experienced your offspring competing or succeeding or in a controlled environment like that, right?
I mean, lucky for Bella, I'm just learning this and you're about 95% done. So, so I am coming to a place of now looking in the rearview mirror at everything that I did, all my fears, all my behaviors, everything that happened during the sport, kind of just like, damn it, why now? But I think that's a lot of life. And that also doesn't mean that
you were correcting yourself throughout the sport too.
It was, but I definitely had a lot of emotions during the whole thing. And it's also truly, those emotions come from a lot of different places, because it's A, wanting you to fit in with the girls.
Yeah.
B, wanting me to fit in with the parents, and just all of the fears that come along with that. I also have to say, as we are entering this competition together, not really together, but me observing you, I think a lot of parents are also regulating each other's nervous systems.
Yeah.
How many moms or dads are pacing behind, and then the one parent is trying to calm the other parent down, and so we're regulating each other, and while trying to be there. I mean, I have some friends who truly can't even now watch their kids play sports because their regulation is so blown out from how hard it is to watch. And I truly never wanted to get to that point, but I do understand getting to that point because it really can be stressful.
Yeah. Well, same with how sports are today is very different than when I started playing, in my opinion, especially in the soccer world. It has grown completely, but most of the parents on our teams when I was a kid, that was their first time doing that. They were first time, I don't want to say first time parents, but first time parents in sports, maybe some of them, but really at that high level, it was their first time experiencing it, where maybe now, or a few years ago, those same parents had a younger sibling that was in the sport as well, and then they kind of were able to do it a little bit differently because their older child has gone through the transition of it. Because when you're starting sports, and some people, everyone's journey is different. Some people have an amazing journey, some people have half and half, some people have a terrible experience. It just depends. But I do think that a lot of parents that I have seen who maybe were really overbearing or really in it, by the time their child came to college and really was becoming broken by the system, they were able to pull back. And
just once we already programmed you and completely screwed you up.
But then with their younger children, they were able to release that pressure. And because I think what really fucks us up is not you guys fearing or you guys having those, it's the pressure that some parents put on their children to succeed, and the shame and the guilt that you have from when you're 7 years old.
Well, can I also say to you, it is that, and our bodies are made to feel feelings. That is what we do. We go into a situation, we have an experience, we have feelings come up, and everyone in soccer or in sports, they have a different level of how good they are. So whatever that level is, you might be on the bench and you might feel certain feelings come up, or you might have the pressure of having to be the winning scorer, and you might have feelings that come up. But what is actually the worst case scenario is when parents, I did this, comes up to you, and because of their dysregulation, they lay the identity on top. They lay the narratives, the stories, that coach, that referee, that this. And so it's like your body is actually built to process feelings, and you'd process them through an experience pretty darn fast. But instead of just allowing you to sit with those, what I and a lot of us do is we lay these stories on top of you. So now you're taking on our dysregulated self, and then you're also making it more of a meaning and an identity rather than, wow, that was tough just not playing as much. But it becomes more of like who you are. A who, not just an experience.
I feel that as children, we aren't as developed as a parental brain, and so we're just more feeling an acute feeling of, oh, I'm sad, that was really hard, or just replaying that game or that feeling and feeling sad, or more of a simplistic emotion. But then as a parent, coming on the parents' thoughts, either let's just keep the example of they're putting the emotions onto the child and not blaming other people. You are angry at all of the effort that you put into them. Let's say your child, I've done this many, many times, but just didn't want to play that game. They went on the field or the court and they just did not want to play. And you could tell, bad attitude, bad this, bad that. And as a child, there's many, many reasons why we could be doing that. But for the parent, the first thing that comes up is, I paid all this money. I drove you out here. I this, I that. I'm so angry at you. So then you put all of that onto your kid and basically tell them how horrible they are, because for the past 45 minutes at 7 years old, 6 years old, they didn't want to play. And I think that it's a lot higher, it's a lot more complicated emotion. I don't think that when I was having a bad attitude or something, it was just because I just didn't want to. There was always another level of,
there's layers to it.
And at that age I probably didn't even know what was causing that. But I love soccer. There was something else going on.
Yeah, and I feel like as parents, because you were on an upper skill level when you were younger, as even the sidelines, they relied on you and your ability to win the game. And that's a lot of pressure. And sitting there, it is so interesting being a parent on the sidelines, because you're listening to your everyone. Team talk about your child in ways of like, Bella, and it is so dysregulating, because not only do you want to like scream at the people next to you who are on your same team. It's like there is a game at hand, and the game has literally no meaning. And yet we're putting on this meaning of we have to win, we have to perform, we have to do all of these things. And truly, one thing that I did realize is we played with the team a lot who won. They really never lost. I don't think we lost for a season, not going to mention leagues. I'm just saying at the beginning of your career, we didn't really lose. That was not helpful to those girls. That did not teach the parents or the kids sportsmanship, how to lose, how to act, how to be kind. We've played against other programs where the parents would come on and dance on the fields because when they were like winning. It's just teaches this system of righteousness of we always have to win. We always win. And I love watching a game where even the opposing team when they have something killer going on, you are like, wow, goalie.
Yeah.
Bravo, bravo. Yeah. It's fun. And just to go back to just a side story, one of my favorite humans on this planet, he is now passed, is Rick Anderson and his cute wife, Sue. And he went down, he? I will tell you, he went down in history as the Utah Jazz's biggest fan. And what I loved about him is he'd bring rubber chickens and he'd rouse everyone. But what he said is, I want the opposing team to have as much energy and electric amplifying everything as I do. He didn't want to fight the other team. He didn't want to fight the other. He wanted electricity. He wanted fun. And so when people loved their teams as much as he loved his team, that was exciting. Yeah. That was the purpose. Yeah. And I think we lose that. We lose that thought of, we're here to have fun. We're here to have energy, excitement, joy, and it becomes something so completely stressful.
I think that when you have a coach, because coaches, they've done it before, they've been through it, they've dealt with parents. I've had coaches where they stopped coaching at a specific age because they didn't want to deal with different dynamics within the people, like the players, or within the parents. But I do have to say that I can really appreciate having a coach that gets how parents get, because they might also be a parent, but they understand the emotions that come out of parents, and then they can create a controlled environment. And I do think throughout my career I have had some great coaches in that sense of, when the parents are getting too rowdy or too inappropriate, honestly, he would go and say, that's not cool. I've got this covered. Or same with maybe parents being upset at their own children or at the other team or at the ref. I felt like this coach maintained an amount of respect for the officials that are there, because they get it. And I also have played against teams who you do not see that respect at all. And there's one team in particular that I played against my second year of college, and it was horrendous. You would hear the girls saying things. You would think that by the time you get to college, I've seen it less. I've seen the rowdiness, the unsportsmanship from sidelines a lot less, because, like I said, parents and supporters, they grow. They've been through this now for 12 years. They kind of understand, because they also have kids who have been through it, and they understand that maybe it's not just about the sport anymore. But I've played against teams where they're calling out my number and saying, you suck, you're terrible. And then you have the players who are pulling people's hair, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I love the one when you were at Idaho where the girls were literally flipping you off.
Oh my gosh. And then you get to the point where you just have to laugh. I was at a school where parents brought signs telling us how much we suck. It's
and
crazy.
It always trickles down from the top.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Mean, I will say, from what I've seen from you, and I think because your dad is very much like this, he has always been a badass in his sport, and he hasn't talked about it. He has just said, leave it on the field. Show them what you have. Yeah. That will show through. You don't need to use words. You don't need to. But you've always had a level of sportsmanship that I really have appreciated.
But I think I've been taught it from a very young age, because my coaches did a great job. And you can see when a sideline or when a team is getting out of control, if we had attitude to the ref, if we would get in trouble with our coach. And I think that it is great to have someone who has more of a level head. I mean, you could have a hot head coach, and then this maybe, even listening to this, you could say, hey, maybe that's somewhere where I don't want my child to be learning their values from that person. But I have had very intense coaches, very hard situations, but at the end of the day, there was a level of respect for the other team. There was a level of respect for the officials that were there. And I think that when you have that mediator that has a little bit of a broader scope, they can help level things. And I just have a quick story that I want to say, that in my last season, we had a few big things that happened in the soccer world. There was a girl on University of Washington who had passed away from cancer, and then there was another girl from University of Fullerton, 2 girls who got hit by a bus and were in the hospital, and one ended up passing away. So before our conference finals, we decided to just put a little ceremony together, have a moment of silence. And I think this was a very big game. It's our conference finals, and we're really in the moment, very raw, very. And my coach had prepared his whole speech of how we're going to go out there and serious. And before he had said that, we had done our speech of just commemorating them. And he completely changed his speech after. And he told us, he's like, I had something, an entire game plan, an entire pep talk that I wanted to say. But after that, I just have another put into perspective that we're just lucky to be here. We're lucky to play. It's a privilege to be here today and a privilege to do what we do. So that's all I have to say. Like, go have fun. That's all I have to say. And I do think that it's really hard, that loss, that a death has to be something that has to put us back into that place. Mm-hmm. But I do think small examples like that are really good for everyone, because I know that when we had the ceremony, it was in front of everyone. It was in front of the other team's parents, in front of our team's parents. It was a connection between, it was a connection between the entire soccer world, because everyone across the nation was commemorating these girls. But it is something that soccer or sports can be something that ties you together in friendship, in kindness, in love, in a joint care for a sport. It doesn't have to be something that tears you apart. And not that there would have been unsportsmanlike behavior, but after that, there was not one single unsportsman behavior at all. And we killed this team. We won, and it was, you shook your hands, we commemorated each other, and it was very sportsmanlike behavior.
When you strip everything away from the game, when you just go in and you realize that competition can be so fun, we can learn a lot from it. It can be something that we've played different teams, and then you ended up on that team. I think you have to realize that team you thought you hated and were so mad at, you're going to end up playing with those girls. And you have done a great job of keeping in touch with a lot of different players that you've played with or against, or it's been fun to see where they ended up. That it's really just a line of communication between players. Mm-hmm. It's not so much the game. And I think that us as humans naturally gravitate to being compassionate, having fun, loving. I think that's the original take on it all. Yeah. And I think that a lot of these teams, it is so fun to win. It's addictive. It's really fun. But losing doesn't have to be that you're a failure, that something so big. We don't have to teach our kids that losing means something. We have to learn to lose.
Well, I think that it can be that losing is hard, but it doesn't define who you are. Because I have had some amazing wins in my career, and I've also had some very, very devastating losses personally and as a team. And I honestly don't know which one is harder, because they both are really, really difficult to deal with.
None of them last forever.
That's true. I think that is something that now, as I'm coming into my very last year of playing, I have learned that the losses are going to sting, but they don't last forever. Mm-hmm. And I think as a parent, that is something that if you're just getting into parenting your child through sports, for yourself, that's very important to remember that it doesn't last forever. If your child didn't play on that game, or maybe in that season isn't playing very much, or even if whatever you would categorize as a loss, it is temporary and it can be changed. There have been instances in my life where it seemed like I couldn't get out of a situation where I felt like I was losing or I wasn't playing enough. You can leave always. You can change teams. You can, and I just want to
I think that's good.
That into, I think that you should talk a little bit about the parent dynamic of moving teams, especially when we were young, and how dramatic that can be.
Well, I think I'm going to just start out with a personal story that happened with Bella at a very young age. She was playing up 2 years. And what happened with us is she was let go from that team. I don't think that would have been that big of a deal. But Drew and I both handled that way too emotionally because we felt like you were good enough to be there. But whatever happened, whatever it was that set you on a different path, I feel like Dad and I were so sad for you or created too big of a narrative around it that it actually put a story on top of it for you. Like you are the one that was let go of that team.
Yeah.
And whatever
and then
that
I thought
was.
that I sucked for the rest of my life.
Now you're just like, look at what we're doing. Therapy 12 years later because of that one, but that is my point. It's like, as parents, we were not regulating ourselves. We thought that we were supporting you by doing that. And what I'll also tell you that showed us as a family is you can be rah-rah for one what do I want to say? Not industry, but one
like league.
League. Thank you. One league.
Like
team. You can think I want to stay. I'm trying to like say this without saying individual leagues, but I want to stay with this league. I want to stay with this team. I'm so loyal, and then you might get kicked off.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying don't be loyal when you're with them, but you need to do what's best for you as a player. And Bella actually taught me that more than anything because when you, at a very young age, felt like you were done with a team and that you wanted to go to a different team, you came to us and said, I want to leave this league. And I mean, that is one thing I will say that we actually did in a good way is we listened to you.
Yeah. But I think that on opposing sides, every parent and every family and every child is going to do what's very, very best for them. But the hardest thing is the judgment and the hatred from all the other parents and
over and over again.
And even when I have talked to parents now, because I do private trainings and I talk to a lot of parents in sports, and they start talking about the other parents and, well, this team, and I was like, whoa. I was like, if you are going to be a horrible example to your child because you're going to encourage them to talk shit on this family, on these people, because they're doing the best for themselves. Whether that's going up to a higher team, it's jealousy.
You have
a lot
to
of
go.
it. Yeah.
Our souls want to move forward.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it came from jealousy of, well, my daughter's that good, and how does that one have that opportunity?
Our team won't be as good.
Yeah.
You're wrecking our team.
Yeah. I think there's so much, but all of the people that I have played with and that have come onto our team or that was on our team and moved, they ended up they made the best choice for themselves. They ended up in amazing places. Yep. And same with the people who came to our team. But I think that especially, I mean, even in college too, but especially in club sports, or there's other words for it now. I mean, and for each different team in sport and league, it's all different. We only know about soccer. Mm-hmm. But your team will change every year. There are tryouts every year.
Oh, and it's all secretive. And
that's what it is. And And whether you are the one that year who was planning to make a power play and you want to try and leave, or whether someone else on that team. I remember one year we had one of the very best teams in the state. We had some of the best players in the state, in the nation. And we had, I think, 8 people leave our team. Some of our very, 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 very best players. And I think that as a child, learning that type of change is so hard because this is a family. These are people that some have stayed on the club for 8 years. Some have, you have established relationships. These are your little team, and same with the parents. You've created this bubble of this group
with these people.
You spend 3 times a week.
It is a soccer family, for sure.
So it's really hard. It feels like a loss, but I think that instead of adding judgment and adding all of this other emotion onto it, you can almost just take it as a little bit of just a breakup, a loss, and then life goes on. We move forward. That one year, it was difficult, but then the next year, remember how many people came to our team? Like, we had the 2 girls from the highest club come onto our team. It's always changing, and it's always moving.
And it's also funny when you leave that team, and then if you're in the same bracket,
then you go against each other
against your team, and that's always a thing. But I will say, when you move teams, if we knew the second you were moving a team, we chose as a family, hey, let's tell them right up front, let's call the coach, let's do everything, because we knew we didn't want to mess up her or his opportunity to bring someone in, because there's usually 2 tryout nights. And so
and
we
let me tell
tried
you,
to navigate the best we could.
As a parent and as a child, if you have a coach that when you do that, they're a dick about it, fuck them. Because all of the good coaches that I had, when I told them I was leaving, they said, of course, why wouldn't you leave? You just got to go play at the higher level. Go. They were the ones that were encouraging me to leave. They were encouraging me to go and take that opportunity for myself. And if you and your child make that decision and your coach isn't supportive of that, also, like, that's their job. Their job is to build people and then go and help them move on. You're like, also, it's a compliment to them.
Also, we have seen this with so many coaches. We love coaches, and when coaches are bringing you in, when they are auditioning to bring you on a team, they are on their best behavior. Don't even kid yourself. Collegiate coaches are going to do anything if they want you. And then once you get there, you need to be loyal to yourself throughout this entire thing, because you might be on the bench, you might be traded. I mean, there's just a lot of different things that you need to know in your heart, your navigation. And you've had to have a lot of really hard conversations leaving different teams because you knew in your heart you were not, even if it is, I'm not playing here, fine. Be selfish. If you're not playing somewhere in college or whatever, or on a high school team or whatever, go find somewhere you can play. That's why you're there.
We could have an entire other episode just on college when it comes to sports.
And
I feel like this one is a little bit more that beginning stage, but I think both of us have learned that college sports is not what we thought. We had no idea, but it is so vastly different than what we even thought that it was.
And let me also say, when I'm watching Bella in the soccer games, I have a default. Like, the feelings come up, the thoughts come up, the stories come up. What is that coach doing? All of these things. When Bella chose to stay at her high school, and this was not a winning high school. Love the high school, great coach, but it was a choice of, this is the high school, these are where my friends are, and I am going to still play on this team. And we know that it was very, very rough years, and there were some fun moments, but it was a team that we knew it was not going to be a winning year. And so you had to go out and literally play, I don't want to say for yourself, but you had to play knowing that you were going to do the best for the team, knowing that you probably weren't going to win.
Yeah. And I see that with my high school team. And let me tell you, it takes a specific coach to coach that type of team who is stepping on the fields to lose. And I think that our coach, especially my last few years, did an amazing job at just supporting us. And hey, last year we got this many goals scored on us. This year we got this many goals scored on us, even though we still lost majority of our games. Like, look at the improvement. Like, they really tried to find those small wins and not put all this pressure on us, because they knew what they were signing up for. They knew the job that they were coming into. And I also, seriously, even now, because as college, you're still going to play against those teams, whether it's your exhibition game, whatever it is, that you're going to kill them. It's how it lines
heartbreaking.
Up. It is. But we, even at my second year of college, my team brought the other team's coach a goodie basket, because they didn't even have enough people on the team to
rough.
Play on the field.
That was rough. My heart always goes out
to those, but those type of coaches, and I know that they just sat there and supported those girls, and I could hear them on the sideline. Good, once they got one tackler, good job, this, that, and same with that. We had another one that we played this year that we also were and this is what I mean, what comes from the top down, because our coach is respectful as fuck. He said, you shake their hands, you do not talk back, go on there, play how you play, and come off, and that's it. You don't talk anything, you don't say anything, it just is what it is. You smile, you have kind.
The other team had this boy squad who was literally like, you suck.
Oh my gosh.
You're this. And okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're like, we have this contract with my coach that we're going to be respectful. And the other team just had this group of students that seriously were shit talking us the whole terrible things. What kind of do you think you're all that? You think you're all that number? They knew our names, and we're over here. The score was 8-0, and they did not stop, which I find good for them that they could rally that team. But it was It was those things.
And there is a way to rally. I just want to go back to high school, because the story that I have when we were playing one of the top. I love how I say we. You were playing, but I was supporting one of the top teams, and we were losing, you were losing, and
you can say we.
Okay, thank you. The girls on the field, your team that were on the sideline, it was like they were supporting, you've got this, come on, we've got this, you can do it. And right above them was the group of dads that were literally, you suck, umpire, you're fat, you're bald, you suck. And then just so much spewing of negativity. And apparently my entire body got possessed.
Dobby got up.
Because Dobby was pissed. And I walked over there and...
Harry Potter, you cannot talk like that.
I was like, do you see this? Do you see what this is the example, and this is what you are doing. I want every single one of you. And these men just kind of looked at me, and I said, listen to what's happening. But to go into that, and by the way, I had the wives thank me the next game for doing that. And who knows how long it lasted. But it was such a contrast. I think that's what hit me, is the girls were just with all heart, with all this, and then the men were just spewing. And so I just want to go back to, at such young ages, we are teaching children, people, we are yelling at the referees. Okay, bad call, fine, but you're fat, you're ugly, you suck.
Oh, I mean, now some of my friends, I have refed. I have refed basketball games. Some of my friends, I could easily do it. It's easy to sign up. And I think that we don't understand that that's a job. They're showing up and they're putting on their uniform to get paid, just how you go to the office, just how you go to whatever you do for work, that is their job. They're
Right.
not there to do anything. And
Well, think if they worked for HR. Think if they were in a company and
Yeah.
people were shitting on them like that.
you would never speak to
How-
someone else in
how
a
is
in a
this
work.
okay?
Yeah.
How is this okay?
I mean, I
You
think they
suck?
have to build such a
Layer.
yeah, and
But
they
some of them are kids, like the sign line.
I know. That's what
sidelines.
I'm saying is they're kids. They're my age. They're younger than our age. It's their job. They're there for a job. And they definitely know that by signing up for it, there's going to be some shit. And of course, there's the refs, the coaches heckling them and all of that. But like we said, when you start getting can you even imagine? You piss your boss off and he walks off and says you're fat. Oh my gosh, lawsuit.
Oh.
A lawsuit. And you're saying this to a ref just because you are so amped up because of your child. You're
Right.
discriminating
Right.
them.
Right.
I mean, some of the things that
And we've seen the parent-to-parent fight. Oh my God. I mean,
literally
no.
husbands holding
wives back too.
Yeah,
Holding
from
wives
swinging.
back.
Okay, wait. Can we talk about real quick in my elementary school how the cops had to be called?
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
But Catholic ball, that's like
I know,
that's
but I'm just
something
saying
else.
we're in 5th grade and the cops are at. I can't even remember.
No,
It wasn't my
volleyball.
game.
It
but-
was volleyball, and someone got elbowed in the face. Blood was drawn. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? And then I always did laugh at the Catholic system because there's 2 Catholic high schools at the end of that route, and you will be playing with those families.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for breaking your nose.
Well, I mean, I think it's just hilarious that I've learned so much about other soccer culture from my boyfriend being from Argentina, and they have such a not gruesome, but passionate. The other team supporters aren't even allowed at the game. So if you have a home game, only the home game's fans are allowed did you not know this?
No.
Are allowed in the stadium.
Wow.
And no alcohol is served. Alcohol is not allowed.
Yes.
So
that was one thing with the Catholic that.
well, yeah,
got a
but I'm
little
just saying
messy.
here, that's like why you go to games. So no alcohol is served, and only the home team supporters are allowed in the stadium because they know that it would be hell if there were fights and everything. But it's just funny to me that you have that, which almost they have chants and all of that. It's a little bit more of organized chaos, but then you have in 4th grade cops being called. It's almost more
true.
rowdy
Right.
at that than what you have in the professional leagues.
Well, they like live soccer in
Yeah.
Argentina, so that
So
is
why
like
is it
pumping
us?
in the
Why is Catholic ball becoming a like lead way to an arrest where
But I have to say as well that all of this is the parental program. All of this is how we are teaching you to do sport. And one thing that unfortunately pulled me to my senses and way too late is when you tore your ACL.
Yeah.
It's like I just had a bitch slap of we built this entire identity. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is your life. This is our life. We were making family choices of where we were going to live or what we were going to do off of your sport. And it was too much. It was too built. And then all of a sudden one day, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. And by the way, twice. Because when you came back to the sport, you tore again, had to have another surgery. And I mean, you can hear it in my voice. Like, it is devastating because it was such a built system that all of a sudden, here we are going through surgery, but then we're going through the one thing that has propped your identity up your entire life.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to say.
You're like, yes.
I agree. I think that
so many injuries. This was like,
yeah. I mean, the ACL for women's soccer is the most common. I think that an injury like an ACL is very different. It has a different level of weight than I've done all the things. You sprained your ankle. So we're just kind of saying that maybe that's not what's going to pull you back into reality. A 1 month, maybe 2 months, maybe a few week recovery. This, something like an ACL or whatever other injury that your child or you may have experienced, that really it pulls you into your life changes in 1 second, and then you who are not even playing the sport need to go through the loss of me tearing my ACL, which is just, of course, you have empathy for me as well, but just how you're saying, how you keep saying we, like we were on this team and we just tore our ACL, not just me, but
it is so devastating. And I have to say, in a very selfish way, I kept on wanting you to quit after that, because the pain of watching you go through it as a parent is so devastating. And I'm very proud of you for just keep on going on your path. You just kept on going. But it is scary. It's scary. And we're actually watching her boyfriend go through it right now. He's in about 4 months of recovery. And not only are you recovering from, let's say, the knee, but you're recovering back to an athletic position that a normal human doesn't have to.
Peak physique?
Yeah. It's just so much. But
I do think it has really taken away the seriousness and the rah-rah of everything. And honestly, every other athlete that I have talked to, something like an ACL, it brings them back to a level of just being excited to play, just being thankful to every step of the process. You're relearning, oh, I'm so glad that I can even do this now. I'm so glad I can even do this now. And same with the parents, because then when your child steps back on the field, they're not like, why are they playing any much? This is my child's first game back. And it kind of resets your mentality. And then, of course, as you get going, all of those old thoughts.
The ego shows up. But I remember the first few games where you started kind of being hard on yourself again. I'm like, oh, that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
It's back. It's back.
But I think that I have seen some of the I just can't even imagine if I had a parent, or some of my friends had parents who were going through this injury, who weren't supportive of them, because I have seen some of the top athletes that I know step away from their sport because they couldn't come back from their injury. I really have. Some of the girls that I played with that were best of the best, top, myself included. I mean, when I tore my ACL, I was at the very peak of my game, and I don't think I've recovered ever. I don't think I ever will recover, or even if I have now, it's too late, because it took me 3 years to get back, and you only have 4 seasons of eligibility to play college soccer and 4 years to get your bachelor's degree. But I'm just saying that I do know and hope that all of my friends who have stepped away from their sport due to their injury, their parents have been very supportive of it, because they have seen the hardship that it takes. And maybe from the outside, those people can get a lot of judgment, but you have no idea what it's like if you haven't been through it. And especially some of the people in our life who have been through it 3 times, where you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my gosh, how?
I mean, Bella and I cry. When we hear of people tearing their ACLs, we cry. Because there's a knowing that, I don't care how strong that person is, there's a knowing that
it breaks you.
It takes you inside yourself. One thing I want to ask you is, we've seen through many coaches that it's kind of like, I loved the Beckham movie, because when Beckham got picked up by one of the coaches, it's because he was on the sideline and he was pissed.
Yeah.
He was angry. It showed a part of him of caring. Now, that didn't mean he was a bad sportsman, but I have seen in multiple coaches, there is a sense of, you need to put your smile on. You need to act like you don't care. You need to be, we're not talking about a bad sport or not rah-rah or not a cheerleader. We're talking about caring, raw caring. And I feel like there's a concept that we have of, especially as women, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
You're being a bitch. You're whatever. So I see you've done such a great job. And I've also seen you on the sideline frustrated.
Yeah.
So how do you mix that? How is that when literally there's kind of a blanket of just like, she's in a bad mood?
Yeah. There's a spectrum of it, of course. I think that as a child and as a parent, you're choosing for your kid to do this. You, even though your child might be wanting this, you're putting them in this type of situation, and it is a very professional. It's like a job from a very, very young age, and so your child does have a level of pressure to act like an adult and to handle things in an adult way. So I do think that that's what I mean, is there's about a balance of to what extent you can. It's hard to explain. I do think that there is a level of raw emotion that one could have of not playing, of course. And I do think that we have learned that you basically have to suck it up until you get out of the game, and then you kind of explode in private. And to a level, there's part of me that can't agree, because I do think there is a level of professionalism that comes to the game. I do think some of the freakouts that I've had, I wouldn't want to do that in front of my coach. I wasn't in my right mind. I just needed to express the amount of hurt,
that energy that you were stuffing
just alone.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that. But at the same time, and now my coach really respects my anger, I think. If I'm frustrated about something, if I'm frustrated within myself, with the team, with the coaches, whatever it is, he respects that, because it's an emotion that he's like, that's okay to feel that way. Of course you feel that way. You care. And I do think that it is really hard to have a coach when they know that if you play every game and then you just had a really bad 10 minutes and they bench you, they know that you're going to have big emotions, and then to just sit there and stiff arm you away and say you can't have any feeling about that, it's very difficult. And I think that I've had both scenarios. I've had scenarios on the same team in the past where my coach basically told me, nope, you can't say that, you can't feel that. Or I've had scenarios where they said, look, you were this, you were this, you were this, I pulled you off. It is, let it go. And I do think that sometimes when you can have a little bit of a regulation like that, it helps.
Right. Well, and how about children playing the game? You always told me, I can't even hear you. So don't waste. I mean, You can say good job, but don't waste too much energy screaming, because you're not really hearing what I'm saying. So I regulated that.
But I do just have to add that one thing that I have learned, and it is also by becoming an adult, and we talk about this a lot, it's kind of like your teachers or your principal or whoever, your boss, whoever's in authority of you from a young age, even to when you get older. Just because someone is in authority of you, it does not mean that they know all, are a better human being than you, are blah, blah, blah. And I think that is something that if we're going to It's the only thing that I have to add is I think that there are times I've handled things that are in an incorrect way. But at the same time, there are instances that I know I've handled things in a mature, respectful, kind way that was for myself. I know that when I tore my ACL, I couldn't do better. I was doing my very best, and my coach wasn't pleased with that. And I just said, okay, well, I don't know, I can't give you more. And that
it is so painful it's not that you're not supporting a team as they're playing, but it is so painful to watch your team go to nationals, go on without you, replace you, and they're doing what they need to do, and then you need to heal what you are healing, and sometimes it's just too painful to watch it go down.
Yeah, and I think that with whatever decisions...
I mean, Bella bleached her hair and did her eyebrows red.
But that was before I tore my ACL. But I'm just saying that I had coaches tell me, I mean, I've been to 4 colleges. I have changed schools multiple times, and I've had coaches tell me that I'm disrespectful, that I am taking opportunities away from other girls, that I'm problematic, all of these things. And I don't align with that. I don't agree with that. And I think that if you could talk to my coach now, the one coach that actually has really seen who I am, like seen the end result of all of the injury, all of the schools, everything, he could tell you to fuck off because he knows exactly who I am, how I work, how respectful of a person I am. And just because some of my coaches who felt like they had control over me doesn't agree with that, then I had to let that go. Because I think that we really want parents and kids, we really want validation through our coach.
Well, and we have coaches that might have their kids on the team.
Yeah.
Managers that have their kids on their team. There is a rooted system in pretty much every single team.
Every single team I have been on, there is some outer connection. College included. It is less, and I think that is something that also as parents you need to see. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the one that gets coffee for the coach every single day, and I'm the one that they text for, But it is
you're working the system.
And fine. I mean, that's what we learned. That's a not coping mechanism, but level of safety. But once you get to college, the playing field is even. There's very few colleges that I have seen, maybe one, where parents are involved.
And truly...
And that's rare.
Drew and I, for whatever reason, were never those parents who were right in there with the coach. And I also think it was
hard for me.
There were times
I wish that you were.
You wish that. But now looking back at it...
I still wish. Just kidding.
I would be up here if you did this for me. Do you know where I could be?
I mean, that is true, though. Some people do make it there because
I agree, and we've seen it. But I think with you, I see your skills as a human talking to your coaches, navigating, getting yourself on these teams.
Yeah.
I never did anything to get you on these teams. You got yourself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that Dad and I weren't supportive of you. We supported everything for you. We just weren't going to go and hobnob to get you there.
Yeah.
That wasn't my job.
Because I think that you guys realized that sports was one part of my life. And there are the select few that are going to go pro and go do all of that, and that's amazing for them. And if their parents got them there, I don't really think that's true, because when you reach that level, you have to have...
That good.
Yeah, you're that
good.
But I think that there is all of life other than sport. There's a whole life to... Sport is one aspect, is what I'm saying. And even listening to any interview, anything, there is life after sports. You have to stop one day, whether it's college, whether it's after pro. You can't play forever. When you see see interviews with Alex Morgan or Abby or all of these people, they don't play anymore. They are moms. They have a life. And I also love listening to them because they're the ones that get it the most. They're the ones that I think are supporting their kids the most, that are chill, that are just there for the ride, because I don't really know if they want their kids to have to endure the level of pressure that they put on themselves. And that's what I mean, to full circle back to our very first topic, is two parents can come from one. You can have a professional parent and you can have a non-professional parent on the same team, and either both can be in the rah-rah and in the or either one can say, I'm so happy my child is doing this. This is a great experience. If they want to play on, they can. But it gets to a level where the child has so much pressure on themselves that the parent needs to become the supporter. Because the instances that I've seen where the parent is the one driving, the parent is the one pushing their kid, those are the kids that have quit.
Well, but let me say this. I don't think I was the driver, but what I also did, and I've said this
I'm still
before.
Playing. That's what I mean. You weren't the driver.
I
You were
weren't
the supporter.
Driver. But I was a supporter, but I was also the over supporter at times. I would look at other people and they were doing extra stuff, and I never knew. I did have that fear of, I don't want you to get left behind, and you were one of the best. And so it's like, well, they're doing that. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? And I feel like there is this thing of more. And it did for me, just because I know what was driving me. And a lot of it was just fear and anxiety. And how can I be in fear and anxiety
and not
because I'm regulating you?
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to still be in it. Like, I'm still in it. I train 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds. And I have to tell the parents, I'm like, these aren't fun. Private training is not fun. It's not. I mean, I think when you get older, then you can have a little bit more enjoyment in those kind of boring things. But when I see these parents coming to me and wanting to make their 7-year-old child better, I have to check with the parents and say, okay, what is your purpose of doing this? And I have had to have some difficult conversations with them. And some are like, oh, I just see this potential and I just want a little bit of help with their mechanic, or I just want a little bit of help because they're scared of the ball. And I just want them to, and I think that that's totally okay. And I haven't really had to work with someone yet that is on the opposite spectrum. But if I came across a parent that I felt like was pushing their child in an unhealthy way, I wouldn't work for them. I wouldn't train their kid. I'm not going to do that to someone else. And I think that is something that I have learned through this sport. And I had a conversation with a mom, and I was like, I don't want my kids to play child sports. See, I'm like child work, child labor. I'm like, I don't want my kids to play college sports. And she looked at me like I had a weenie on my head. I was like, I don't want them to. This has been hell. And she was like, well, maybe. And I was like, I don't really care if you're me who have had an experience like this, or if you're someone that has had an amazing, they've stayed at one program, they're playing pro. I guarantee you that there have been very, 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 very hard moments in their life, whether they tore their ACL, whether they had whatever it is. And if they came out on top of it and they're still playing, that's amazing for them. But I think that they could still say, I don't know if I'd want my kid to endure that, because it was so much pressure, so hard. And look, if my kid wants to do it, I'm going to support them because that's what they want. But I'm going to be like you. I'm not going to pressure them. I want to support them because I know exactly how much pressure. I don't think parents can see what we put ourselves through, the level of perfection that we need, because the parents are expecting a level of perfection and they're just seeing that in their brain. They don't even see that their child is killing themselves over these things because they're so consumed in themselves. You've got to step outside and help your kid, because if you think you're hard on your child and they're at this level, they're 10 times harder.
Well, and a lot of times when someone quits in college or something, we're like, they got out.
Yeah.
It's like out of the mafia.
Now
we're
we
like,
think that though.
They walked away.
But when I was starting college and I saw someone quit, I still was in the program. I judged them. I did.
Well, it's so confusing.
Yeah.
You've made it so far.
Yeah.
Why would you quit now? Just keep on going.
And then now I'm like,
I know. I think that one thing goes back to just the programming when you were young. I did not finish college, but everyone...
I'm barely about to.
Whatever. But she has a lot of homework too. But there's a lot of building up of this character identity from a very young age. D1, what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And that is also built so young. When I tell parents that we would say to you, we're not doing this for college. I said this so many times, which I'm sure kind of angered you a bit.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was doing it for the experience in the moment, for the next for what's happening right now. That is so much pressure to tell your child at a very young age, you will have the opportunity to play college and get a scholarship if you do this, if you stay in this.
My friend, it was either you get a scholarship for college or you pay for your own college. And on top of that, if you get a D1 scholarship full ride, I'll buy you a brand new car. And if not, you are on your own, you pay for your own school, and you have to do it all on yourself. Hello?
It's this manipulation. And how many people, I didn't, but Dad did, I'll pay you $20 if you score a goal. I'll buy you new jeans. I'll do this if you go perform.
Yeah.
It's taking away this ability it's like layering and layering. Like, can we just relax and be happy? Yeah. We were talking about this last night because we were watching a video of someone having a Valentine's, and the Valentine's had to be so extreme.
Rolls Royce and
cars
Louis,
and jewelry to get a feeling inside of yourself of joy. And we were kind of laughing because I'm sleeping on the floor. We're just so
we
chill.
like go get a coffee and we're like, oh gosh, life's amazing.
It's so exciting. We're sitting together just so appreciative. And I think that if you cannot have that joy from just scoring a goal or assisting or blocking or something, that we have to now pay you money and do all of these other things to incentivize you, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like we're the problem. We are the problem.
The whole environment of it is not spoken about because of social media, because of how rah it all is. That a few years ago I had posted one post about the real ins and outs of college sports, and I had people that I went to one school and they played a different sport than me. I didn't even talk to them, reposting all of my the paragraph that I had written. I had coaches reposting it. I had other schools, other teams, football players that medically retired reposting it, because no one speaks about it, because no one is there talking to people that it is so hard. And then if you add on top of that parental pressure, so here you have an environment that no one is even talking about just for the kids, how hard it is, and then you add on another added pressure of the parents. How?
No, I think it's so true. And what we're really looking at is, we're building these systems of, we can get through emotions, but we're building identities. And what you can't consciously recognize.
You're building an identity for yourself too, though. Like, we as a kid are building an identity of we're the soccer player, but like, you are building your own identity
that say
soccer mom. But like, I have friends where their parents' entire Instagram, their Instagram bio, their profile picture is their child's sport.
And here's the thing, I love the people we've traveled with.
Yeah.
You
love
them.
watching me play.
You
love that I play soccer.
I love when you play well.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I love when you play well. I love the game. I love the sport.
But you love me for so many other reasons.
It's so true. And so it is a polarity, because when it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah.
And when it's down, it's down.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to regulate those systems. And so this isn't about a sport. We're just saying some of the dark sides. And when we are teaching a child, this is how we treat humans, this is how we treat wins, this is how we treat losses, this is what we manipulate, that this child is being raised to think this is what competition is.
Yeah.
We've seen it with football players. These kids that are smoking way too much dope, taking pills, acting erratic, too much porn, doing all of these things, let's be honest, but doing all of these things because they have a void inside themselves. Yeah. And they've also been raised that you are number one. They've been raised in a system that we've accepted this bullshit because we'll do your homework for you. We'll get you tutors. We'll do all of these things just
so
to,
you can play
and
the
they're
sport.
making the coaches so much money now.
And they're making
making a lot of money that I want everyone to be abundant, but what's the root system? Where are we coming from? What is going on inside of ourselves? That's the most important thing here. And we're starting it at a very young age. And so how do we as parents go into this system, navigate our own nervous system truly to be okay when you're sitting on the bench? What does that look like?
I think it looks like listening to our podcast and self-work.
It does. It's a reflection of yourself every single time.
Yeah.
And you've got to step out of the system. You've got to be able to look at what's going on, your reactions, what that looks like. And that doesn't mean don't go to the games, don't support.
Yeah.
Just have some self-discipline, accountability to see what we are programming here. So I mean, I think we could truly go on in so many different areas about this, but I think that those are some good little thoughts.
If there are other areas that you want us to talk about, then please reach out. But I think that we wanted to start here because this is the first entrance into parents in sports and being a child in a sport, and I think that's why we wanted to start from level 1, day 1, first time when your kid is first getting into sport, and just the ground rules of how to try and handle that from both sides. But there obviously could be so many other episodes on injury, college, so many other things.
I totally think that. And I also have to say there is a child's perspective. And
that's why we're doing this, because we like to have two different, there's a parent perspective and there's a child. There's the parent watching, there's the child playing. There's the parent putting the pressure, there's our pressure. And I think that it's very important for both sides to watch, especially for this episode. I think it's so important for the parent to see, as they have kids in sports, to be watching this. Maybe the parent has younger kids in sports. And then for people around my age to be watching this who, if they want to have kids or if they've experienced it, they can see, oh, wow, yeah, maybe that's why my parent was like such a dick when I was playing. Or just, I mean, our whole goal of this whole thing is to better understand each other, to have better understanding for your kids, for your parents, for everyone. But that was a large purpose for our episode today.
And I want to say that a game is an experience, anxiety is for life. And how you leave and you practice your sport and you train your mental mind in the sport is how you are going to do your next career, your next life. And we're now speaking to people your age who have been programmed in this system. And that is an awareness. We don't want you to bring that type of pressure to your
offspring.
Exactly. And so this is why we're here talking about it. So we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get a like. We love all the comments.
She loves.
Give me the likes. I love them.
She's like, I love when you comment.
I love when you compliment me. I love when you comment. I love when you do everything. So thank you again so much for being here with us. And we will be here next week. Okay, ciao.
I have to pee so bad and I'm sweating.